Hey, good morning. How you doing, everybody? Today's August 16th. Today I'm in Stony Creek, Brantford, Connecticut. On my way home, heading home that is, back toward Guilford. Susan and I are out on a nice ride here this morning, enjoying this beautiful midsummer day. It's beautiful today. It's gonna get even better with some cooler air coming in this afternoon. So I wanted to pass along a little tip or a little bit of information to those people out there who are users of Garmin devices, Garmin Vivo Actives, or the Garmin series of bike computers. I think this tip applies to most of them. There's been a lot of talk recently on GCN about power meters and the advantages that they provide in terms of training and also endurance riding to help monitor your the effort that you're putting out, so that you can ride for the long haul by monitoring yourself and making sure you don't go into the red too often. And there's no doubt power meters provide a real benefit. The downside is that most of us can't afford them. They're expensive. Yeah, they say that they're coming down in price, but down in price from what? To what? And I've only come across one other comment on a website that had to deal with a discussion about power meters. Well, one guy said, "Oh, you can get a good power meter for $400. And I bet you 20 people jumped on top of that comment asking the guy to provide a link to the product he's talking about. I think most people will agree they are on the expensive side and out of the reach for most people who are not in the Cat 1 category of cyclists. But it would be great to work with power on your ride, to monitor your effort, or use it for training if you could. So, getting back to the community of Garmin device users, specifically Garmin bike computers, I found an app on the Garmin Connect store that's called vPower. And what vPower is, it's a data field that you can load onto your device, onto a screen of your choosing. And what it provides is your estimated wattage that you're putting out almost at that exact moment that you're putting it out. I think there's probably, I'd say a 3-second delay at most. Only because what it's doing, it's not actually measuring your power, it's calculating your power. And I gotta tell you, I've been using it for about 3 weeks now, and I honestly believe it's fairly accurate. I'd say well, certainly within 95% accuracy, especially if, like right now, I'm on a flat piece of road and I'm going a certain RPM and a certain speed and a certain cadence. It's saying right now that I'm putting out 160 watts. And based on my speed of 18 miles an hour, I will guarantee you that's probably dead on. It uses the same calculation that Strava uses, for determining your estimated power. Now, two things here. First of all, the values that it provides in your Garmin file are only your max wattage and your average wattage. And there is a graph, there is a chart over time of your peaks and valleys of how much wattage you were putting out during the ride. But it doesn't apply that power to segments of rides that you're on, as an example up on Strava. Nor does Strava take that value and use it as a value from a power meter, because Strava still estimates your power unless you have a power meter. So what I discovered is that when I'm done with my ride, I take a look at the value for my average watts, and I compare it to what Strava calculates for my average watts. But with one caveat. I find almost consistently my Garmin device underestimates or underprovides or misprovides, if you will, the amount of elevation that I'm riding. Strava has an option, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you can correct your elevation from the elevation that Garmin provides. And so if I upload a ride, go to Strava and change my elevation, or have Strava correct my elevation, I get significantly more elevation for the ride that I typically take. It changes it somewhere between what Garmin says is 600 or 700 feet to about 1,100 feet. When that correction is made, Strava also re-estimates your watts, your average watts. That number compares almost exactly what the average watts that vPower provides to Garmin Connect. Now, here's the other thing. If I go to Garmin Connect and I scroll down to the very bottom of my activities, or activity sheet, those of you who are familiar with it, you will see at the bottom of that sheet the device you use for recording that information or that record. Morning. How you doing? On my Garmin HR, or Vivo Active HR, there's an enabled and disabled button for elevation on the bottom. If I disable that, click on that, what it does is recalculates my elevation based on survey data and not what was measured, if you will, or reported from the Garmin app. Well, when I do that recalculation, it almost exactly matches what Strava comes up with. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that Strava and Garmin Collect, when you make adjustments to them, end up with the same amount of elevation. In other words, how high, how much elevation that you've ridden, how much climbing you've done. And that actually will come into play when you're doing a calculation for watts. So Strava and the vPower data field that you can download on your Garmin device are almost identical. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that I essentially have a power reader meeting, or a power meter reading, as I'm writing, that is based on very accurate calculation of what I must be working at to get to the speed I'm doing at the cadence I'm performing and the elevation I'm climbing. And the application, the data field, is a free app that you can download from Garmin Connect. So, if you people are interested in working with a power number for working out, or your endurance riding, I suggest take a look at Garmin Connect, the vPower app, and download that data field. And one other thing I will mention is that I recently watched the video of a guy who took out his power meter, went out and rode a route and compared his actual power to what Strava estimates are, and he came away with the conclusion that Strava estimate, its calculation, are like within 95% of a power meter. That's pretty damn good, and it's pretty damn good considering that this application will provide you that same number while you're riding for absolutely free. So forget about $800-900 for a power meter. You can download a data field on your Garmin device showing you what sort of wattage you're putting out.